Alrighty, let's get this party started. Today we're playing the Checkmate Coronavirus Arena on chess.com, and we are starting the current arena as a little bit of a warm-up. Hopefully gonna get into some real action when the next arena starts in about 12 minutes. I actually don't mind this recapture because I get control over some central squares. The doubled f-pawns don't look very pretty though. But on the plus side I get this nice bishop pair headed toward the king side. And the point behind king b8 is when a6 I want to reply with b6 and so on. Bishop takes c4? Oh, that was a pawn on c4. I'm rather confused. Bishop c7, and next move we play bishop h3. I know you get 2 pawns for the piece, but those pawns are in front of my king. So shouldn't you trying to be attacking my king with pieces rather than pawns? Okay, knight b6. Do I mind? For the moment, no. For the moment, no, we don't mind. Alright, so we kick the knight away. Now what? Let's just go h5, h4. Knight d to c4. Okay, h4. We're still up the pawn. Okay, clever. So he's stopping me from responding with b6. I don't think I'll take this. I'll just take on g3. And you have to retake on g3. Because if you take on b7, I take on h2 with check and then recapture on b7. Might have been the wrong rook. I want to challenge the e-file, but oh, knight to d7 is actually allowable because the bishop still covers. Okay, we're clean. We're clean. A takes b7. Rook takes e1. And king takes. Okay. Now I'm threatening to take on b6, so you move the knight. Knight to d5. The knights get skewered, and I think you have to take on c7. Knight ce3. Do I take on c3? Let's go for it. f6 pawn, I don't know if you can grab it. f6, rook g6. Okay, well, now the problem is you have 3 pawns for the piece. Rook b1, smart, smart. Because I have motifs to taking with the knight on d4, and the bishop was pinning the pawn to the rook, so that was really smart. Alright, how do we make progress? d5 is a threat. Okay, he takes away the d5 square. So let's go to f5 with the knight then. Those pawns are rather scary, but we'll see. I think I'm forcing a concession here, because I'm threatening to both take the knight on c3 and to go knight takes on d4. And hey, this is a pretty decent showing after all. This guy is 2,000 rated. I think I've only beaten one 2,000 rated player on chess.com. Alright, knight forks. Where are the knight forks? I don't see any, so I'm going to play bishop b6. Try to swap off the knight if I can. If not, then I can have bishop to d3 ideas. So that's why knight e4 is impossible, because of bishop to d3. And I pick up one of the knights. Okay, why did I do that? The bishop on b6 was not attacked because the rook defended it. Now we get bishop d3 in. King d6 because I want to take c2, rook takes c2, knight e3 check with the fork, but I can't do that if rook takes c2 is with check, since it's on the c file. And now you can't recapture because I play knight takes d4. I think he missed that one. And resigns. Nice, that was a really good game. That was a really good game. Thank you to all of the loyal watchers checking in for the umpteenth time, or also thank you to the new watchers who are just checking in. We've hit 1,700. That's not bad on chess.com at least. Okay, my favorite line here of the French here is playing f4, knight f3, and the maintaining potential for breaks on the king side. Knight h6, knight f3. I didn't want to play bishop to e3 because of potential knight g4, and this knight is actually kind of bad on h6. Well, I guess this is kind of why we played f4, so we have potential for g4, and then f5, and then attack. CD. Obviously. Alright. We need some compensation here. Oh boy. DC. Oh no. I was expecting d3 winning the piece back, but this also wins the piece back with an extra pawn interest when he takes on b2. You have to take back, which at least gives me an opportunity to take e6. I know I give the rook on a1, but if I can get pieces into an attack, game aborted because arena over. Okay. Alright, then let's look over here. And the Checkmate Coronavirus Arena has just started over here. So we'll give it a go. Alright, so we got a central break in here. And this e-pawn, I'm not sure if it helps or hurts white at this moment. I guess white does have the option of playing d4 at some point. But the pawn is already under fire. And I think you have to swap off the bishop pair to avoid losing it immediately. The good news is white does get access to pushing d4. Yeah, and there it is, d4. CD, because we want to play against the weakness on e5. Next we can go knight f5, castle, and then play the rook to e8. Yeah, bishop g5, it's a common idea, but it doesn't really work here because I can immediately unpin. Queen's got to move somewhere. c5. That's actually rather annoying. Cutting me off from castling. I can't take on e5 because rook e1 pinning ideas. So let's go rook b8. And try to get some counterplay. b3, bishop e6. I'm not worried about mates because both the knight and the queen cover the e7 mating square. Bishop f6. strikes me as slightly odd. Yeah, that queen is still really annoying. However, we're going to be able to kick it away. Is the queen somewhat trapped here? The only square for the queen is a3 or to take. And a3, we go queen to b4, knight a4. Okay, defends the queen. Let's trade. Rook b6 defends the a6 pawn. Knight e6, okay. This will open up a square for our king on f7 though. So it'll kind of save us castling. Oh, that's annoying. d4. Plan is to play rook b5, and maybe by jettisoning a pawn we can get our king over to take on f6. So we're giving the c6 pawn here for the opportunity to play king f7, king takes f6. Okay, so now going after the d pawn. We can defend it. And if he cycles the rook to e1, we go king takes f6. Hey, Gosco, thanks for the follow. Thank you so much. Hope you're enjoying the content over here on the channel. And if at any point you have any suggestions for me on how I can improve. Oh, that was a mouse slip. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Oh, thanks for the follow. Wait. Oh, man. I feel like it's time for me to wheel out the mouse slip. Yeah, there's also a chat bot here, fellas. Yeah. Man, yes. As Patzerbot says, I am adept at making mouse slips in positions where that's really bad. All right, where's weaknesses for white? I guess we could just push the h pawn to h3. But the h pawn h3. Oh, okay. Attacks the rook. Rook moves. And then play rook g2 and try to go after the h2 pawn. He's also quite low on time. There's also no skewer tricks rook g1 because the king's in the way. And I am glad that you guys are enjoying the chatbot. Yeah, it should be completely up and running by now. We had some technical issues with it last stream, but I think it's all working now. So Okay, let's go back to g5. That blunders a piece back, but you're still going to be up pawns because he takes a6. No take a6. Then I'm going to save that sucker. Okay. Yeah, no problem if you're about 1K in chess.com. That's actually, I think, about average. So that's really nothing to be ashamed about. I mean, even when you get up to a slightly higher rating, you understand chess more, but you also understand just how bad you are at chess more as well. Yes, I thank you for believing in me, but there are serious issues in the position right now. For instance, I'm stuck babysitting the H pawn, as uh, it's hard to move up the. Oh, that's not working because I can't take it, I don't think. Can I take it? No. If I took it, I would have a lost pawn ending because white already has the opposition and I'm already forced to retreat. This is a rook skewer, though. And thank you. Yeah, I agree. I typically play games without increment. But the Checkmate Coronavirus Arena is with increment, which I don't mind. Although I don't like games that are super high increment. Like I've seen games that are like 5+8, and those are a bit much. And I think you're too slow with the A pawn because promotes here. Okay, I gotta be careful not to let this pawn get too far. Or to stalemate him. Oh, okay, we win the pawn. And I think we'll win the game. Okay, and where's the mate? Where's the mate? Okay, there we go. And mates. Ball game. Man, that was up and down. Thanks for the follow. I hope that catapulted me to victory somewhat. And while we're still here, shout out to Patzers, who is one of the top players in the tournament right now. Great guy. Played him in a daily tournament, the Chess.com Daily Chess Championship. Great player. Got a lot of respect for him. So shout out to Patzers. And it seems like my opponent thinks that it's a bug house because his opening is actually a typical bug house opening. And don't cite me on that because I am no bug house authority. I'm like 1400 in bug house. I'll capture the B pawn to keep the queens on the board for a bit longer. And we have the bishop pair as well, so I'm feeling pretty good at this stage. Yep, d4 saves the pawn. Okay, what to do, what to do. Just play h4 here and wait. I actually don't approve of the decision to swap rooks, because if anyone had a better chance of getting the e-file, it was likely him. But by swapping all the rooks off of the board, you really decrease the pressure that your position can give. And now that it's an open position, 2 bishops against 2 knights, 2 bishops are typically much better in the open position, and there's another pawn. So I feel like we should win this game. I know that the a pawn is hanging, but if we can trade the queens off, we're up 2 pawns. I don't think we have losing chances here. No draw. To anyone watching, don't offer a draw if you're in a completely busted position, because it's just not polite. And I've had way too many people do that, and it's not cool. So c7, and now we just activate the king. And now the king comes to b7, I think. Or even if we wanted, we could just grab this guy too. Okay, so he defends that guy. Bishop d4 goes after the a pawn. If the a pawn falls, I think this is just completely winning. Oh, okay, I think this wins, because now we can just go into a straight pawn ending, and your king gets decoyed by the a pawn, and I just walk over and I pick up both kingside pawns, as you can't defend the kingside pawns and keep an eye on the a pawn. So we have as much time as we would like to just march up the board, collect the pawns, and even giving up the pawns doesn't help because now my g pawn is another square further up, g6, and resigns. Nice. Yeah, I agree. I would resign if I was him. Gambit time? Alright, I played the Scotch a lot as white. The opening that you guys see here, because I enjoy it. It's fun. F6? Question mark. I'm not sure if this is a position where you can play f6 because now your light squares get weaker. And I have potentials for bishop sacks. Alright, we need rook lifts. We need rook lifts into the attack. Where can we get rooks from? Where can we get rooks from? F5. Okay, F5. That's a decent move. Bishop g3 goes after the e pawn, and I think he'll play f4, and then bishop d4. Yeah, it's cool that you just started playing the Scotch Gambit. Yeah, I believe it's called the Goring Gambit technically, but it's fun. And that blunders the queen. Yep, and just because, if anyone was wondering, this diagonal, the bishop pins the queen to the king, and the rook defends it, so that's GG's. Scotch is nice. Alright, let's see if we can play the Scotch again. Okay, never mind, we got Sicilian here. Let's see if this guy goes for a Najdorf. That would be really fun. Yep, Najdorf. Okay. I played the bishop e2 Najdorf, and I castle short. Yes, I am that kind of guy that castles kingside in a Najdorf, but queen c7. Heck, f5. Can I play knight e6? No. Okay, knight bd7. Now he's starting his thematic queenside expansion here, but what is there to expand to? I'm just going to play a4. b4, take f6. And now we gain a tempo on the rook on a8. And when he comes back, we retreat to c4. Oh, that just blunders the e point. Oh. He returns the favor. Thanks for the free e pawn. I like White's game here, even though the queenside pawns could be a bit of a liability. Bishop c4 closes the c file. And now we can seize the e file, and we should be pretty fine. Okay, so king f2, I don't want rook d1 to be with check. Now if rook d1, he just blunders back rank with rook e8. And if bishop h4, we go g3. Okay, so he wiggled his way out of that, and is going to play rook b1 to target the b pawn. In response, we can go g5. If bishop takes rook e5, and if you try to keep the bishop on the diagonal, I can keep harassing it. So rook e5, and now we take a5. Or Mr. Cleverbeans just decides to defend a5. How sensible. Oh, dumb. Okay. Yeah, superb tactics there. We'll just resign. Ouch. Okay. All right, Russelimo. My opponent just sent me a little message in the chat saying that it wasn't the sodium attack. I am glad that you know what the sodium attack is. Yeah, and if anyone doesn't know what the sodium attack is, it's playing one knight a3 on the first move. I've played that against a couple of title players. I haven't beat any titled with the sodium attack, but it's actually kind of playable. I just go for kind of almost like a reverse stonewall with playing like f4, g3, and bishop to g2, and I feel happy with my game. Oh yeah, and speaking of titled, there's also that. If you guys enjoy it, that actually happened yesterday. Beat Candidate Master in a blitz game. Yeah, now a typical theme in these structures would be playing b5, but that's impossible because there is no b pawn. And because of knight takes e4, no, I don't like the call because now these pawns get really weak. And I think I'll just capture with the c pawn, or the b pawn rather. c5. And these pawns are actually kind of interesting because this is a passed c pawn, and even though there's a lot of pieces on the board, it could be kind of dangerous. All right. So now by trading off light squared bishops, and we're going to trade off dark squared bishops as well. Okay, I guess not. But by taking on f4, I get this very nice b6 outpost for the knight. And to get it, you're gonna have to give me back the dark squared bishop anyway, so I fulfill what I started with trading all the minor pieces off the board. Queen e2 hits the weak e4 pawn, and also eyes up this guy here on a6, as this could become a threat if the rook moves from a7, like right now. And now we're up 2 pawns, and if the queen gets attacked, we always have queen b5, check. But let's go back to e2. We just go after another pawn. All right, and we're still up 2 pawns. So, and the rook is already conveniently posted behind our own passer. If the queens come off the board, the passed pawns on the queen side win the game for us. I think the passed pawns on the queen side will win the game for us regardless, but if it becomes a rook ending, that just makes it even more technical. So, yeah, and already the a pawn is very fast. Just a6. Check. Check. So by doing this, we get back to cover the back rank. And now there's no rook c1 ideas. So just a7. And the pawn promotes. Well, actually, he does have a tricky idea here with rook c8. And if promotes, then rook c1. But I don't think that works. Again, thank you to everybody who is checking out the channel, whether you're a first timer or a follower coming back. I hope you enjoy the content. And there is queen number 2. Okay, rook e3 just blunders the rook, but that move was made with basically no time on the clock. And now queen b8, b8. Shout out to Star Wars. And that's it. GG Scott. All right, let's keep this sucker rolling. We're in the top 20 right now, so that's pretty good because there's titles players out there. Oh, this is okay. Petrov defense. Okay, this is actually what I've read is a fashionable new line against the Petrov, playing d4. It's a pawn sack, but oh, that was a knight sack. Oh, mouse slips. Oh gosh. Okay. Moving too fast. That's why I don't play that much bullet. I mean, I do play some bullet, but it's not my favorite. Even though my bullet rating is about 1700. Whoa, what's this? 94. I actually don't mind if you take f2 because I just take with the rook and I don't have problems. And now because you have fiddled around with the knight, I can get knight d5 in. All right. Got the better position here. How do we add pressure? Okay, here's an idea. a4. The idea a5 going after the bishop. And now the bishop goes to c5. And now the bishop gets traded. Another benefit of playing f4 is black doesn't have g5. And that might be small things, but... Alright, where do we move the knight? Do we take f6? I don't like taking on f6. Because that just it gets rid of his pinned piece and starts activating and his pieces and helps him develop the light squared bishop, so we don't take f6. And all right. And the second idea is now we get to play e5. And now we get to stick our bishop on d6, which is going to be a really active square, as it's pretty hard to remove from there. All right, how do we up the ante here? Yeah, another thing behind bishop to d6 is now that we've got this lineup on f7, there's not that many ways to defend it. Like knight g5 h4, and then it'll be over pretty fast. All right, and at some point soon, I'll have to cut the stream for the day because my stomach is asking for food, and it'll get some. So probably at about 8:45, or I speak as 8:45 as I live in the U.S. Um, to any viewers out there who might not be from the United States. Yeah, and the h4 idea. Now, note I didn't play h4 immediately because I was concerned about ghosts of knight e3, which basically means that I'm just seeing ghosts. Yep. Thanks, Goshko, for the follow earlier today and for hanging around in the chat. It's appreciated. This is still a really, really small channel. Yeah, and now we're just going for mate here. And that's mate. It's 8:41, but we'll give it one more game. We'll give it one more game. We're playing pretty well today, so we're actually currently 10th in the arena, I believe. Oh, a CM. This is awesome. We get to play another candidate master on back-to-back days. That's just really cool. And for some reason, all candidate masters play the London for some reason. And like the candidate master I played yesterday also played the London, and I managed to win that game, but I flagged the guy in a drawn opposite colored bishop's ending. So we'll see. We'll see if we can flag here. All right, let's develop. Oh boy, we got to be careful about not self-trapping our bishop here, as perhaps g4. Okay, so h3, he's prepping g4, and now we've got to be careful not to trap this sucker. And if the knight moves, f3 is an idea, but he decides to take. Okay, I can respect that because I can't really criticize your play because you're the candidate master and I am most certainly not. Although I will feel free to criticize that because king e2, you had the idea of knight d2 blocking, and I actually like white's position. Okay, so the point behind h6 is I want to bring my other knight to f6, but I can't do it immediately because g5 kicks the other knight. So we play h6, which is a fairly safe move. And all right, queen c2. And now we'll go g5. Maybe I could have done that immediately, but h6 also prepares it. b4 attacks the queen, so we'll bring the queen back. Okay. Better to castle late than never, probably. Alright, so what do we do if he exchange? Oh, that's aggressive. Now, that is gambiting a pawn, but he is going to open lines in front of my king. So, yes, bishop takes g7. Oh, he gets the pawn back. Okay, this guy's not a CM for nothing. He's really good. And I want to keep lines closed around my king especially, because that could be rather painful if my king gets opened up. So we go g4. Yeah, and I think after this game, I will end the stream so I can eat. Okay, h5 first, because if I go queen d5 to trade off the queens immediately, knight takes g4 is an idea. Now, we go queen to d5 to see if we can trade the queens, because my king will be a lot safer with the queens off the board. All right, now we also need to get our rooks active ASAP. Yeah, our friend Cullen has won a pawn. But we're gonna try to fight back. Okay, calculated risk is probably what we need here. Okay, do we go back d4? I don't like going to b5 because then we get chased and it's further away from the king. Knight g5 check. This is sub-ideal because now these pawns are really strong. I think we'll be able to get in this rook. Okay, g6 check. And now we whip the rook hopefully as fast as we can to f6. Because from f6 it both attacks the g6 pawn and defends our weak pawn on e6. And the rook h5 lift puts his rook on e5, where it hits my pawn. So, alright. Now that the rooks are in place, now we start activating the king. As he can't move the rook without losing the g pawn. And I'm going to take it because I don't want e5, and I would get chased away, and he could be able to perhaps push the g pawn, which would be lights out. Now we'll play this out. All right. So he decides to give back a pawn, but I would still consider this position winning because his king invades it. Whoa, b5. Okay, only legal move is to take. Okay, this guy is very Very good. Oh, c6, not good, not good. Run away past pawn, not good. Oh boy. Yeah, this is game. Alright. Thanks for the game. I'm glad I could play a Candidate Master for the second day in a row, but I'll resign like a civilized person. Thank you very much for the game. Cuhlin, I think, is the username if I'm correct. But I'll be ending the stream here, and I would be interested to know who you guys want me to raid, as I will be raiding somebody next. So I know Leela is having a good morning celebrating Georgian Independence Day, so I might raid her. If anybody else has a suggestion for who I should raid, let me know in the chat. Or else I'll probably just pick Leela because I like her channel and she's having a good day. Oh, Alessia is also streaming. That's nice. Let's raid Alessia. If my sluggish computer loads. All right, Alessia is doing it, so let's raid Alessia. Looks like she's doing some sort of sub battle with Chelsea, so I hope you guys enjoy that, and thank you all for checking out the stream today.